Victims who may have emigrated here from another country, what unique barriers might they face?
An older victim who is an immigrant may have difficulty and challenges around adapting to a new culture, a new language, a new position in society. They might also feel or sense that they are victims of discrimination of some sort, or anti-immigrant sentiment, or exclusion from mainstream society. All of those things combine together to really to complicate and perhaps even make vulnerable an older victim who is an immigrant. It might exacerbate existing vulnerabilities for that immigrant, and it might provide a window for an abuser to come in and manipulate and isolate, or further manipulate and further isolate that victim. And all those things you have to keep in mind if you're a victim service provider, and ask questions as to whether or not the services that you're providing are culturally appropriate or linguistically appropriate and are keeping that older victim who is an immigrant safe.
Understanding the immigration status of the individual is very important. Was grandma brought to this country to babysit and outstayed her visa? And if she complains now, she's going to be sent home and deported to a community that she hasn't seen in 10 years, and there's no one there to support her. So understanding that is very important, so that her reluctance to speak up may have to do with her legal status in this country, because there may not be any options back home for that individual. Maybe she's the only one who has the legal status and the other 5 people in the home don't. So bringing the police in will jeopardize the daughter, the grandchildren, but it's really the stepson that's there as well. That's the problem. But now you're bringing the spotlight into that home, and that will also serve as a deterrent, a barrier to getting help through the criminal justice system. They may have had histories of being refugee where there's a mistrust of authorities, where the police is the last person that you would turn to in terms of getting help. So how does that history from their native country apply to what's happening here? So they may not deny the whole situation because they don't know what will happen when it comes to the authorities. And that's the biggest concern too. It's not even the language, it's the person's understanding and expectations of what the criminal justice system can do to help them. There's also a concern about retaliation. So the police may come to the house and they might take him away, but he's going to come back. And then what may happen? They might not want to bring shame to the family. One person's personal safety is not as important as the structure of keeping the family together. What happens if they take him away? They're going to put me in a nursing home.
When we're dealing with older victims of abuse, we have to take into consideration if they're an immigrant or they're someone that newly have just moved to the country, or that there's issues in regards to, are they documented, are they a citizen? Oftentimes abusers that were citizens and sponsored them will use that as a way to maintain that relationship or that control. The other thing is that we have to be cognizant of their traditions, how marriage plays into how they value themselves. And in some cultures, like the Hmong culture, where if you were to divorce, when you were in Laos, you could be killed. There's no such thing as a separation. What it means to move on, how people value their religious communities, and what that means to them, knowing that if they leave this marriage, they would be leaving everything that they knew to be true. And where would they go? Especially if the older victims are monolingual and they do not speak English, and they have never worked, and their abuser is the one that was the main provider. What will they do and where will they go?